Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. Welcome to my channel. My name is Maaike and today we are doing a first impression with the new Catrice Clean ID products. I suddenly spotted these on one of the websites that I frequently check to see if there's new Essence and Catrice stuff out. This is apparently partly limited edition. Part of this is also part of their permanent line. I just hadn't spotted it yet, which means I can do nearly a full face of new Catrice products for you. The only thing I don't have is eyeshadow, primer, blush, and powder and brows. Everything else, from foundation and primer to blush, bronzer, setting spray, all of that will be new Catrice Clean ID products. So let's get cracking. So before I tell you a little bit more about these products and sort of why I decided to pick them up, I will put this product on because it's a skincare product and I felt I could sort of talk to you about the line and the vibe behind it while this is sinking in. This is the Clean ID Hyaluronic Boost Serum. So this line now also comes with skincare and yeah, it's a hyaluronic serum kind of thing. So it is really gloopy. Oh, now I do have quite a bit, but you just see that it kind of just runs in there. So I thought I could just whack this on and let this sit on my face and let it sink in for a minute as I tell you about this line. So Catrice has been doing a Clean ID line for I think about 2 years now, and they've been slowly but surely, they've been coming out with more and more products. New right now are some skincare products. They also have some actual primers, but I didn't pick any of those up because none of them were hydrating. They were all like pore filling, whatever, and it's just not my vibe. So I decided to buy another skincare product that hopefully can work on me and my dry skin as a primer. But yeah, the Clean ID line boasts no microplastics, no silicone, no mineral oils. A lot of this is also fragrance-free. It's labeled for sensitive skin. All of the packaging is recyclable as well, as far as I know. It's all like cardboard. They also have a full lipstick line, which I actually reviewed just a few weeks ago, so I'll link that video in the eye above if you'd like to see the Clean ID lipsticks that are currently in Catrice's line. But they have new then some skincare bits. This is part of their permanent line. I just hadn't spotted it, but they also came out with a new foundation and a new concealer. I have already put those on and I have to say I was pretty impressed. They've come out with a highlighting palette which contains 3 shades. And then they've come out with a new version of their Clean ID bronzer. They already did one of these, but look at how big this is. This is 18 grams of product. And it looks to be a pretty good shade for me. Like I said, no powder, no blush, no brow products. But then for eyes, they have been coming out with some eye palettes in this line. I hadn't really tried any of them yet, so I thought I could try a new one. So this is very much styled after their Pro Slim eyeshadow palettes that they have been coming out with. And this is a mineral eyeshadow palette. It's vegan. That's another thing you need to know about this line. And that's what the palette looks like. Then they've come out with a mascara, a setting spray, which I already sprayed this really briefly to see what the mister was like, and I'm impressed. And then they've come out with the Hydra Volume Lip Plumper. So sort of like a plumping gloss in 3 perfectly nude shades. And to top everything off, they also do brushes in this line. I'm not sure how long this is going to be out, which is why I decided to sort of prioritize this video, get it out to you as soon as possible. Apart from the foundation and the concealer, I am applying everything for the first time today to my face. I've only given these things a swatch, so this is definitely going to be a first impression and not a full review. I will be reviewing these things over time on my blog, and I plan on doing like an update on a lot of the Essence and Catrice products that I've been trying recently next month in June. So hopefully I will have tried a lot of these products by then, that I can actually also update you on those then. Not sure if I can do that, 6 weeks isn't a whole lot of time, and I do want to try other stuff. But I think this hyaluronic serum has now sunken in, which went really quickly. Have to say that, of course, with skincare, I pretty much will have to use up the entire bottle before I can let you know how I feel about it, but it does sink into the skin very nicely. It doesn't feel sticky now that it's sunken in. I'm happy. And then they have this, and this is a face oil. This is their Carrot Glow face oil, and as you can see, it has like a dark shade, a little bit, but it's supposed to be a nourishing formula, and it says to just, you can apply it morning and evening. This doesn't say anything about it being a primer. Some of the Catrice and Essence skincare they've been coming out with recently for the face oils say that it can also be used as a primer. This doesn't, but I don't mind using an oil as a last step. And do you just see how... So I'm just going to take a few drops and sort of press it down. Oh! This is not going on nicely over that hyaluronic serum. It kinda, my skin is starting to pill, like that product is coming off. I could feel all of these like little grainy texture, granules of product that I'm now wiping off. So these two products definitely don't go together. So I'm gonna have to test them like separately when I do use them. So I am curious then to see how well other skincare and other products will layer on top of this, because if it sort of like rolls off my skin that easily, I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to like it. Oh well. But yeah, that oil sinks in super quickly. I already found that when I was swatching it. So I'm going to apply my Catrice eyeshadow primer real quickly, and then we're moving on to foundation and concealer. For foundation and concealer, as I mentioned, I sort of overlooked these when I was buying the products for my Catrice Spring Summer update, which went live in March. So I'll make sure to link that in the eye above. I kind of skipped on these because they don't really sound like products that would work for me. This is their High Cover Luminous Matte Foundation. I don't really believe in that, but a lot of brands have been coming out with these like watery skin tint kind of products. Think of the Fenty, think of the new Nabla launches that we've seen. And this is actually a very similar product, which is why I decided I did want to try it. It only comes in 3 shades. I have 004 Light Almond, and I also have that shade in the concealer. The shades for these products just seem really, really strange, I do have to say. And this is the High Cover Concealer. Again, fragrance-free, silicone-free, all that jazz. So this foundation says that you need to shake it up really well. So that's what I'll do. And like I mentioned, I did already try both of these on my face, and they are not what I had expected. This foundation, yes, it's matte, but it is glowy at the same time. It has a little bit of like a thinner texture. It's not as serum-y as some of those new launches, that's for sure. The shade works quite well on me, luckily. It's a little peachy almost, so it kind of color corrects at the same time, which I do like. It is perhaps a little bit too yellow toned. And this does have sort of like that baby product kind of scent to it. So is it necessarily perfume? I'm not sure. Does it say it's fragrance free? This one doesn't say it's fragrance free, so it may not be fragrance free. But it says 98% natural ingredients, which for a foundation, I think is pretty good. So I'm just going to blend it in. I've got a new sponge that I'm trying today as well. This is by Kaleidos. So that is what the foundation looks like. And you can probably, like if you hear matte and knowing that I have dry skin, you may know that that's just not something I look for in a foundation. But this doesn't look that matte. When it's first blended in, it looks quite glowy, and it's a very thin texture, so it doesn't have a whole lot of coverage, I find. It is perhaps a hair too dark. I find in the viewfinder you can't really tell, but in real life I can definitely see like a very big difference between my neck and my face. So let me see if I can blend it down just a little bit more. just to make sure we even it out just a little bit. It's just not my undertone. That's for sure. But yeah, the foundation I was very impressed with. I have already worn this foundation for an entire day, and I also was very impressed with how this wore. Very often, matte foundations, even if they look nice first applied, on me they start to pull into fine lines and it looks very cakey and makeup-y after just a few hours. This one doesn't. This actually wore well under a mask. It was very long wearing. It stayed looking very natural on the skin. And that's why I put this in my stash for this month, to really give it a good try, to try it for like a week or two, because that's what I like to do with foundations, and then write a dedicated review on it, because I was super impressed the first time I used it. So I'm happy with that. And the same actually goes for this concealer. It didn't pull into any fine lines. It has that same weird undertone though. So it is not perfect from that perspective, but this is nice enough that I'm sure I can use it up. And for a high coverage concealer, I find it to be quite thin and quite easy to blend as well. It's just quite watery almost. Not watery in the sense like that might make it seem like it's got no coverage. But I feel that this concealer does exactly what I want, which is just a little bit of coverage, not too much. And it just goes really well with this foundation. So that is what that looks like on my skin. I don't know about you, but I think that for a drugstore like base, this is really excellent. It gives me exactly the coverage I need. Is this necessarily like full coverage? Because they're called the high cover concealer and foundation. I think if you're used to actual full coverage foundations and concealers, I don't think this will be it for you. But for me, and just something lightweight that wears well, this is exactly what I like. All right, so I use my Charlotte Tilbury powder, which is in my current Shop My Stash, for applying that product. And then for the bronzer and the highlighter, I think I'm just going to be using these new brushes that I have, because I think that way we can try the entire line. Of course, I have no clue how this bronzer will swatch, but like how it will go on, but swatching it seems very light. I put it right there. Do you see it? It's really light, so I hope it's going to work with my fair skin. I have to say that a bronzer brush like this, it feels quite dense. So it feels like nice quality. I'm not sure how this is going to go. I usually use a duo fiber brush because that gives me the most natural finish, but we'll give it a whirl. And can you just see that design here? I love it. Catrice did a good job on this if it works well. The original Clean ID bronzer that I've tried worked really well for me. So let me just see. Oh. Okay, so this brush is like the softest brush ever. Do I feel it really applies the product? A little bit, but I actually feel like it may be pushing my foundation around a bit. I'm not entirely sure whether I like this. Like the combination of the brush and the bronzer. Let me use my own bronzer brush and see how that goes. If I can get it to look a little bit more even perhaps. Yeah, this is that kind of bronzer where you can just layer it and layer it and layer it and it will never look too much. I'm pretty impressed with this because this is exactly the kind of shade I need in a bronzer. Good job, Catrice. Now let's see how we get on with the highlighter palette, because it's got 3 shades. I'm going to be using this like light pinky shade because I think that will work best. It's got 3 shades and these feel so dry when you touch them. And then also on your fingers, it's like, is that going to do anything? All right, so I do apologize if the lighting looks a little bit differently, if things have shifted a little. I was trying to film this video before my parents came over and they were a little early, so I still haven't put on highlight. I just kept my makeup the way it is. So this is now a few hours later, like 2 hours later or so. And that also means that we can have a little bit of a chat about what this foundation and concealer combo looks like. And as you can see, it's wearing down quite prettily. It's still looking quite natural. The bronzer is still on too. So I'm really not too mad about it. I really am not. But I was going to swatch and like do something with these highlighters for you. So I think I did swatch them. And I think I already mentioned that these feel quite thin and that they're just, you know, not the best from that perspective. But that said, let's just see what this first shade looks like on the skin. I think I could use all three of them in the sense that I think all three shades can work on my complexion, but I do want to make sure that I try the other two and I can show you them on my face as well. So that's why I will be using this shade right now. Oh, and I'm using that new highlighter brush that they came out with. It's a bit bigger than what I would normally go for. Yeah, I feel that this brush isn't doing enough for me. So I'm going to be using my Sigma F03 because I like a denser brush with my highlighters to make sure I pick up a little more product. So, woo! And that definitely does something. Do you see that? So yes, even though these don't swatch the best, they don't look the most vibrant when you look at these in the pan. They are definitely like a baked kind of product. But once applied to the face, you can see that you definitely do get a bit of glow. Is this the most blinding highlighter on the planet? No, it's not, but it is pretty, I think. For blush, I'm going to be using my Flower Beauty blush in Spice Petal. This is currently in my Shop My Stash because I just wanted to make sure that I gave this a good try. So, and I thought this neutrally blush shade would be pretty with the rest. Alright, so I've done my brows, primed my lids with a bit of a double priming action, and that means we can move on to this eyeshadow palette. And this eyeshadow palette is a mineral eyeshadow, so I guess they're also a little bit baked, but this is what the palette looks like, and it's called the Nude and Gold eyeshadow palette. This is 91% natural ingredients. It's formulated for sensitive skin. And it has no silicone fragrance, etc., etc. And it just looks like a very neutral eyeshadow palette, as you can see. So you have some really light shades over on this side and then some deeper shade on this side. And I have to say that the swatches of some of these actually, especially the shimmers, I have to say, but I'll swatch one of the mattes as well. They looked quite promising, I have to say. So if I sort of swatch them here on the back of my hand, as you can see, this looks pretty good. These feel very smooth and creamy too. I have to say that the shimmers seem to perform better than the mattes, but I will quickly do an eye look with this for you. So I'll zoom you in and then I'll talk to you about what I used and how I felt these shadows performed in a first impression. Alright, so I created the eye look, but since I have a mascara for you as well, I thought I could first talk to you about these eyeshadows and then chat about the mascara next. So what you should know is that I used the deeper shades in the palette. So this darker matte, I tried to put in the outer V. You can barely see it because I felt it blended into nothing. This is a shade that I ended up using in my crease, and that I think is a perfect like mauve-y toned crease shade. But as you can see, the overall look is quite light. And that's not something I had necessarily expected from the kind of shades you get in here. And that's mainly due to the fact that this just kind of disappeared once I blended it. So that's a bit of a shame. It would have been nice if this had like a deeper dark brown, that's for sure. This shimmer looks really pretty in a swatch, but I felt that on the lid, it pulls a little bit more satiny. It's not as foily, whereas this shade and this shade, this is on the lower lash line and this is in the inner corner, those I felt did pack quite a bit of an impact once it came to like how shiny they looked. This matte I did, yeah, this one right here, I put a little bit on the lower lash line just to give a little bit more depth there, and I think that worked as well. So some shades seem to be working okay, the mattes are okay, but very powdery and can blend into nothing once you get to the deeper shades, so that's a bit of a shame. So I will have to do some more looks with this to see how it goes and how I feel about this. But yeah, these are quite powdery shadows, and I'm not sure yet whether it's powdery in a good way or not. But yeah, that's the eyeshadow palette for now. And then for a setting spray, because I like to use a setting spray next, they came out with the Glow Prime and Fix Spray with rose extract. And this, I'm not sure if I can show you this, but it has a super fine mist. So I love that. So I'm just going to set my eyes with it, and then we're moving on to mascara. Wow, this mister is by far the finest one I've ever seen anybody do. You can barely feel it going onto the skin. That's how fine it is. Like that. Does have a rose scent, so that has to be your cup of tea. Mascara then. I'll zoom you in when I go in with this one. This is the Clean ID Full Lash Mascara Extra Black. Again, all natural, and it says for sensitive eyes. It seems to be your like bog standard volumizing mascara, and even though you pretty much see me use the Catrice, you pretty much see me use the Catrice Glam and Doll waterproof all the time, but it's the only mascara from Catrice that I've ever tried that I truly like. The rest of them are just, So I hope this is okay. It has a natural hair bristle, and it's just straight. It does have a bit of a taper towards the edge there, but that's about it. So let me zoom you in so we can see how this goes on. And there you have what the mascara looks like on. And I have to say, I don't find it that offensive. Very often with Catrice mascaras, I feel they don't have enough of a lift. They kind of just coat my lashes with a black layer, and that's about it. I feel that this does do something a little bit extra. Of course, I do need to use it a bit more often. And that's why it's in my Shop My Stash, so that hopefully by the end of this month, I know exactly how I feel about that one. But yeah, first impression is very positive. It does what I would like a mascara to do. It doesn't necessarily say that it's very volumizing, but I do feel it has a bit of volume. It says that it's buildable and intense dark voluminous lashes. Oh well. And then moving on to the final item, and that's these Lip Plumper glosses. Now I'm going to swatch all three of these on the back of my hand. There are 3 shades. There is a Hydra Chic, which is this really pale pink, and I can already tell you that on the back of my hand, this looked like, well, next to nothing shade-wise. Like, can you even see where it is? It's got a little bit of shine over here, so that's where you can see it. Then we have 020 Volume Nude, and this is like a very pale beige. And this again, I felt, I'll swatch it right next to it. I felt it just looks like a clear gloss. You just see, like the first one has a little bit more pigment to it, and then this one is pretty much, well, clear. And then the third one I felt had a bit more color. This is Plump Pink, and this is the one I'll be using. These do have a scent, I do have to say. These do have that cookie dough sort of scent that a lot of lipsticks usually have. So I'm not a huge fan. It does disappear, but this is like a more peachy pink kind of shade. So that's all 3 of them swatched. With these, I think that if you just have one of these, it's fine. These do not make much of a difference. I haven't tried these on my lips, so I'm very curious to see whether these will actually plump. What does it say? Volumizing lip plumper with hyaluronic acid for smooth, hydrated lips and a maximizing effect. That's what it says here. So let's see. I do have a bit of a cold sore over here, so I do apologize, like a remnant of a cold sore. Luckily it didn't bother me too much. Oh yeah, it's starting to tingle. I was like, if this is a volumizer, then it needs to start like doing something, right? It does have a bit of a tingling effect. Not very strong. No, but it does have that sort of like, if you've ever used volumizing lip products, then they usually have like cinnamon or mint in them to sort of help with the plump effect. And this definitely feels like it's got something like that in. It smells a bit spicy indeed, so maybe it's the cinnamon, I'm not sure. Is it really plumping? It just feels like a nourishing gloss. That's all I can say about these. So yeah, again, I would have to wear these a little bit more often to really see how I feel. Is this the kind of product that I'm like, ooh, yay, I really want these? Not necessarily. These are definitely things I just kind of bought for the video so I could show you. These are not the kind of things I gravitate towards naturally, especially if the shades just aren't like 3 shades of essentially the same thing once you swatch them. Would have been nice if these actually had a bit more color. Oh well. They just feel like nourishing glosses and that's about it. So yeah, that's it for me for today. Those were all of the products that I wanted to show you in today's video. It was a bit of a quick one, I guess. But yeah, just a bunch of new Catrice Clean ID stuff that I wanted to update you on. I think the bronzer is one of my favorites, I think I'm quite liking that mascara as well. The foundation and the concealer, like, I think this looks really well, like for how long it's been on, that it still looks very much like my skin. I personally really like that. So that's why those products I think are the best. I was a bit surprised that once I put this guy over this guy, that there was definitely a little bit of an issue there with the hyaluronic acid serum kind of peeling off my skin. Maybe I should have let it sit for a longer time. Maybe I should have layered it under other products. I don't know. But something about the oil made that break up a little bit. So that's why I will have to try these products more before I can really give you my full thoughts. Like I said in the intro, I hope I will be able to do that next month when I'm updating about all of the Essence and Catrice products that I've tried. However, there's quite a lot here, so I'm not sure yet whether I'll make it. We'll see how it goes. So thank you very much for watching today's video. If you would like to give it a thumbs up, that would help me out greatly. If you're new to the family and you would like to subscribe, that would even be more lovely if you could do that. And then, yeah, I make lots of content about Essence and Catrice stuff, but also other makeup related things. So yeah, I hope you would like to stay tuned, and then I hope to see you in my next video. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.